Okay, so people often ask what my setup is. I haven't really done a good talking video to describe it, so here's what we got. I use a laptop. This one's a Windows 7 machine, and I run a whole horde of plugins on it. I won't get into all of it, but all kinds of synths and effects that I run in either a live host or I'll run it in a DAW, which is Reaper. So we have that. And then I have a rack bag underneath. I can get the microphone a little closer so I can show down here. So what do I have? I have the power pack from my Wind controller. That's also the MIDI interface. I have a Craft synth. I have a audio interface. I haven't organized my cables in a while. And what I do is I run the Craft synth into the interfaces a lot so that I can send it through an external filter either on my iPad, which is what this interface goes to, or on my laptop, which is what this other interface goes to. And they're almost the same, except the one has a MIDI in and out, and that's real handy. A very important thing up here is, oops, there it is. So I have a USB hub for the iPad because I'm connecting into it. I have the Craft Synth connected to the iPad. I have the interface connected to the iPad. Sometimes I have a MIDI interface connected to the iPad. And I'm also powering a, where's it hiding? A USB hub, or you can kind of see it. I have a 1 in, 3 out USB hub down there that I'm using to split the signal that's coming out of here into all these other devices. And then I also have a second laptop running Windows 10, and I'm using an ancient interface for that. I have this old Tascam audio interface that it works fairly nice for the basic audio stuff. The MIDI on it's not as fast as the Behringer one. And then what do I have? I have a keyboard controller over here, Arturia Keylab. And then I have my iPad, which I have. So it has a straight audio input right now, which is the audio in is coming from the Craft Synth. And then it's going through a filter, the bleach filter. I have some delay, and then I have Eventide Black Hole on there. So that's basically what that is. Whenever I'm doing these streaming deals and most any video that I'm shooting, what I do is I'm taking the output from the audio interface and then I'm passing it through one of these little audio interfaces, which is one of those pocket interfaces for the USB with Behringer. And the nice feature about this is you can plug it into an iPhone or something and you do not need to have a powered hub connected for it to work, which is great because if you're using one of these other interfaces down here, you have to have a powered USB hub, or the iOS devices not have enough juice to run it, and so that's kind of important. Okay, I'm back. In addition to the live host, I have a bunch of the Cherry audio synths that I can load up, like DCO 106. Which I like and use a lot, just because it sounds good and it works well with breath control. And it's definitely an advantage having a nice clean control panel that's real easy to find everything. Especially for live performance things, what I'll do is use that because it has a standalone mode, which is what you're seeing here, which I like a lot. You can also run it in Cantabile, which is my live host, or you can run it in Reaper, and it just sounds good. So I got so much stuff going on over here. This is basically the setup that I was using when I did the webcast thing with archives, except I didn't have the Craft Synth going. So what's going on with this? Oh, and I'm gonna have to turn off the. Yeah, I have both my laptop and my iPad going through my mixer right now. I'll turn off the iPad completely, so it's just the laptop, and then you get. And then, I'm running these things in Cantabile, which, oh, I still have that open too. That might be why I was getting the popping. Um, which is, okay, so now you can hear the craft synth going through voltage modular, which, well, through the filter, I mean. What I meant to say was I have craft synth going through Cantabile Live Host, doing the same kind of deal I do on the iPad, where I'll run it through a filter, send it through some effects, etc. So you get, here's the filter, opening and closing with the breath. Of course, in this patch, you can see I also have a second module because I have the ARP module sitting over there. And what I do sometimes is just drag the, cabling around. So if I take the audio input and drop it here, and if I take the filter output and switch it to the other filter output, then you have this. Oh, except I didn't turn up the VCO. So it defeats the original oscillator when you use the audio in. So now this is the craft synth. As you can see, the filter quality is different. It's a little more, for lack of a better word, natural, and not as mogy. So this works really nice if you want to, like, play a solo or something, and maybe you don't have any of the second oscillator going on, and then you want to add a little bit. You can just bring it up, and then you go from having the single note, and then you get a little, which is a good effect to use. And crank up the resonance, and then you'd think you're Jerry Garcia. So that's kind of all this stuff, the basics, and took me a while to get the routing all figured out. Especially integrating the iPad into everything, trying to make sure I don't get my cables tangled here. That was definitely a big thing with my feet. Because everything with the iPad is kind of touchier and all that. Maybe touchier is not the right word, but you could get a lot of things going on in that with AUM and the different signal routing options and all that. So it did take me a while, and with the MIDI going to multiple devices at the same time. For example, my MIDI out from my Wind controller goes into the craft synth, but the craft synth is also passing like the breath control data into the iPad. So I don't actually have a MIDI interface going into the iPad, so I couldn't pull up Odyssey right now and play it because I don't have a MIDI in. I'd have to switch some cables around. But if you just want to use the breath control, if you're using the craft synth, which I was doing before, you have it, and it works nice.